What's up, guys? This is Kobe Cheese, and I'm going to be doing a commentary of my Maokai jungle from a solo queue ranked game for you guys. And already they are trying to invade us. They do have a Blitzcrank coming in the fold, but I'm just going to back off here. I was doing the wolves. I wasn't sure if they would stick around for a fight, so I actually let the wolves reset, and instead I'm going to go ahead and grab my blue buff to begin. So not the most amazing start for Maokai, but generally if you don't have an invasion, what you'll be doing is putting down your saplings starting just about around a minute 10 will do it. You just have to know that the saplings only last for about 35 seconds, so you need to make sure that you put them down after the point at which they would expire. So the wolves, they do spawn at a minute 40, minute 55 for the blue buff. Anyways, let's speed this bad boy up as we get going. For my Maokai, I do have a support page for the masteries, and then just move speed and attack speed and armor for the runes. And whenever you get a smiteless leash, which is great, you're gonna go ahead and do your red first since you have your smite up, and then you can do your wraiths next. Now a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people will do a level 2 ganking Maokai, but I like to go for my Q as my second skill, so that it's easier for me to finish up the jungle, and I'll have double buffs, and it makes sure that I don't get behind early on. Now I noticed that the Lee Sin was around my jungle area and potentially going to gank top, so I checked his wraiths and they were not there, and that allowed me to get his wraiths and to go in for a gank around behind and do a little bit of damage to the Katarina. Now we see Lee Sin, and I know that he's going to be going into his jungle. He won't have his wraiths, and mine are still up, so I'll go ahead and pick those up once again. And so far, off to a good game as far as counter jungling is concerned. Lee Sin now coming back around to try and get a game, so I'm going to do the same thing by coming in here to stop them from making anything happen. I run in there, I help Slammo get the kill. He does go down, unfortunately, but I'm going to try and do a little bit of damage to Lee Sin. I might be able to get the kill. I just got to get my twist advance. There it is. There's my Q. One last auto tech, and boom. There it is. I probably didn't need a flash for that. I think that my red buff actually picked up the kill for me, and I even missed my sapling. So either way, got the kill. That's doing a good job. So yeah, off to a good start. I do grab a hunter's machete for my first couple of items. Hunter's machete, 5 health potions, and of course you saw I had a biscuit as well from the support tree, and that helps a lot. You can actually use a biscuit and a health potion at the same time, and I usually use that right after my blue buff, so I can be back to full health and ready to go for the rest of my jungle. Now I'm going to speed this up as I come up to gank. Most of my jungle is done, and I noticed that the Wukong had a ward in his hand, so I knew he would be coming to ward pretty soon, and lucky enough, I timed it just correctly. Twist advance is back off a cooldown, and we grab the kill for our top laner. So far, I've gotten a decent amount of kills for the team, and we are doing quite well. So I'm just helping him shove out a bit. I know he wants to go back here pretty soon, and so I'm going to help him do that. So we picked up a few creeps in the lane, and we're just shoving it in a little bit. We saw Lee Sin coming in, so I went in to try and get a kill. If he decided to stick around and fight us, then he would have surely fallen, but I got him to half HP, and that's going to make it a little bit harder for him to both jungle and potentially grab ganks in other lanes, just in case he tries to go in for something and maybe dies because he's a little bit lower health. So now we're going to both back off. Let's go ahead and speed this bad boy up. And generally, what you want to do with Maokai is pick up Crystalline Flask when you have the gold. If you can get 1,000 gold before you go back, it's great to buy those boots of mobility as fast as possible. But since it's such a good early game, I was able to buy all my 3 starting items, which is Spirit Stone, Crystalline Flask, and Boots of Mobility. If you can't afford Boots of Mobility, go for your Crystalline Flask and Spirit Stone first, and potentially just skip the Boots of Mobility and go for like Merc Treads or something like that. But generally, I always want to go for those Boots of Mobility as it helps your ganks out tremendously. So I'm waiting around here in the bush, gonna see if I can get in range to at least do a little bit of damage to the Katarina and potentially even grab a kill. Now that Slammo is level 6, he has a lot of dive potential himself. I didn't see anything happening there, so I'm going to go run over here, grab the blue buff. Luckily, since we have an energy champion mid, I can grab the blue buff safely. Now, it's good to give energy champions a blue buff because it does help them out quite a bit, both cooldowns and that, obviously, the energy regen. But instead of going for blue, I saw Lee Sin walk past that ward, so I was like, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and make sure they don't get kills onto my lane. I'm going to help get kills for our lane. And there he is. There's the flash. Exhaust goes down though, so I'm able to pick up a kill with my Q. I go ahead and Twisted Advance in. We have the ultimate coming from Caitlyn. She grabs the double kill, and that helps our bottom lane out tremendously with 3 kills on the bottom lane. And it could have been like 2 of us dying because of that Lee Sin gank, but since I counter jungled properly, we were able to pick up 3 kills. And my blue buff is still there waiting for me. So there was no need for me to go for that blue buff in that particular situation. That's one thing you have to pay attention to as a jungler is the movement of the enemy jungler. When's the last time you saw the enemy jungler? Did he just gank top, and are you at your at their Wraith area? You can go steal the red, or you can gank another lane without being counter ganked. There's a lot of things to really consider. So always pay attention to the last time you saw the enemy jungler and what buffs are up. If you just walk past the enemy Wraiths and those Wraiths are down, you know it's a pretty good possibility they're probably in that bottom jungle area and might be ganking that bottom lane. So you might try and set up a counter gank. All these little things you have to think about whenever you're playing jungler. Alright, so I'm coming in once again to try and get a gank onto the Katarina, and I don't know, let's see, my flash should be coming up pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up my Wraiths once again, and my red buff is up. That's going to help me gank quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the red buff and get the experience from that as well. And then I'll head back around and look for some more gank opportunities. I didn't see anything in mid lane. Looked like mid lane had back. I don't see top lane. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead and farm and back off, buy a couple of items myself. And what I do is I pick up my Sight Stone as my next item. What you really want to do on Maokai is get a lot of HP, because HP is a big thing. Slimo picks up a kill, so really awesome play. In fact, I want to see that again. I think if I remember correctly from this game, that was a really awesome play. So she goes into stealth. She is pretty low here. She's going to force Katarina to dive her at the turret, and Ignite goes down. Slimo comes in though, using the last bit of damage that she has to pick up the kill before dying, which is pretty cool. So now I've got my double buffs. I've got Sight Stone. I'm working towards a Ruby Sight Stone. It's really awesome to be a jungler and be able to just walk around and ward everything so that the enemy jungler can't ward you. And what I did to escape that there was I saw Lee Sin, so I went ahead and Twisted Advance to him to dodge out his Q, which works pretty interestingly enough. And that worked great. So I'm just going to sit here in the lane, try and shove it out. I want to make sure that Lee Sin doesn't shove to the turret, forcing forcing a lot of pressure against mid. Generally, you want to keep your lanes pushed up evenly, but you don't want to steal farm from your enemy or from your allies. You just want to make sure that it's push up. Now, since Lee Sin was in that area, I thought maybe I can come in here and steal this. I'm going to smite it or maybe just auto attack it down. Lee Sin's a little bit weak, and I know that because I'm 2 levels higher than him. Unfortunately, I put myself in kind of a bad situation, so I had to waste flash just to get a creep camp there. I used the enemy minions to Twist Advance away, but we might actually get a kill. Slimo is going to try and go for the dive. He flashes away, which is good enough for us. So both of us have wasted our flash, both of the junglers, and that's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and stick around in the mid. Since our Slimo is just a little bit lower, I just wanted to help out by, shooting a Q. That's really all I could do. So I back off for now. I go for the race, and we'll look for opportunities after that. Lee Sin is actually coming back around, and I see that because he walks past the ward that I placed down earlier. And a good place to ward is obviously this bush right here, because you can see pretty much all the movement from the enemies there. And I come back around, I pick up the Katarina. We're doing quite a bit of damage. I don't know if we're going to get the kill. We do quite a bit of poke on her, but we have to back off. The Lee Sin is too low to actually stick around and do anything, so he has to back off as well. And this allows me to just kind of hang out in the area and wait for those raids to come up. I'll go ahead and put a sapling down in the bush to make sure no one was waiting for me, but that gives me a chance to go ahead and counter jungle just a bit more since Lee Sin had to back off. So let's speed this back up. I figured Katarina would go back, but since she didn't go back, and I'm pretty high health, this allows us to safely push down this turret. She's not going to get any farm. She's actually just wasting our time. And now I'm just going to zone her while Slimo cleans up the enemy creeps, and we can take down this turret. So since she decided to stay in the lane and not go back, she got greedy for her farm, she's actually going to miss farm anyways and lose the turret because I stuck around and went for the turret kill. So you don't always have to be ganking and farming your jungle to be an effective jungler. If you can push down a turret, you should always do that. I'm able to stop Katarina from ulting by using my Q on her, which I always forget the name of for some reason, but it's Arcane Smash. So I use my Smash on her, which it's like a little interrupt. It stops her from ulting, and that's an awesome thing to do as Maokai. You just Twist Advance, bam, knock her up from her ulti, and that helps Slimo to survive. Now, the Wukong is pretty scary, but she actually juked him, and he's decided to start chasing me, which allowed Slimo to get away. She blinks away, jumping to him and flashing out, so very nice plays. Slimo doing a great job this game. So we're both going to back off. I pick up my Ruby Sight Stone, and now going for a Giant's Belt. A lot of times, if you pick up a Boots Mobility, you are usually going to want some kind of tenacity, and a way to do that is to finish off your Spirit Stone into the health equivalent of that tenacity item, and that's what I do a lot of times. Now, if you're not the only tank in a game, it's good to get an Aegis if there's a lot of magic damage on the enemy team, and so I may have decided to do an Aegis this game. I'm not sure if our Alistar is doing that or someone else is, but I'll probably pick it up eventually after my tenacity item. But I do notice I have Vision Ward here on the enemy creep camp, and this is the awesome part about having a Ruby Sight Stone. That allows us to get in there and kill off the enemy Lee Sin and steal his red buff. So lots of counter juggling happen in this game, and that's really the best possible scenario for Jungle Maokai. Has been able to get all these great ganks off with the help of my mid and all these wards, and you know, everything has been successful so far. Enemy team tries to come in and stop us from Dragon, so we just say, screw it, stop Dragon for now, pick up a kill. Alrighty, everything is going well. Not a lot that can go wrong at this point, now that I am so far ahead. In fact, I'm 5-0-4, I've got tons of items in my inventory now. And so we finally get shut down there on the bottom lane, but it's not a big deal. I'm actually counter jungling the Lee Sin right now. I'm going to try and wait for his Q to wear off of that minion. I don't know if he has a ward here, but I'm expecting him not to. I pull the blue buff away. He actually does steal the blue buff, so that's unfortunate. I didn't do a good job doing that. I didn't actually have smite myself, or maybe I do. I don't know. Let's see. So yeah, smite wasn't up, or maybe I missmited. I'm not quite sure, but either way, he got the blue. It's not a big deal though. We're gonna go ahead and shove this top lane down. I noticed that a lot of people are on other parts of the map, so I'm gonna try and pick that up. But Wukong gets back in time to stop it from getting shoved down any further. That gives me time to go back into my own jungle, pick up my red. I still have the red from the enemy Lee Sin, but it's about to wear off, so I'll pick up mine. Double kill on bottom lane, so we have to be careful about that. They could still potentially come back if we give up too many kills. Alright, so at this position, I noticed that Wukong is up top pushing all the way. I'm going to allow our Olaf to come around behind with me to try and get the kill. I'm going to wait for him to use his clone, which he just did, and then I use my Twisted Advance. Unfortunately, Wukong actually gets the kill onto Olaf. Olaf got a little bit too risky with his engage, and I was like, damn it, you shouldn't have let him do that to you. He probably should have waited a little bit longer for me to do more damage. Wukong was pretty strong though. Wukong can do quite a bit of burst if he gets that full ultimate off on somebody. So while my top liner's dead, I'm just gonna sit around here. I threw a sapling in the bush to see if Wukong was still there, but he did back off. So we're just shoving this in. I'm gonna try and take this turret as much as possible since Wukong had to go back. Olaf finally back in the lane. He's gonna help us shove this down. I'm gonna smite the big minion to get rid of it, and now we can take the turret while Wukong is missing. Wukong will probably be back pretty soon, but it's too late. That allows me to go back, and overall we win that top lane engage. Wukong actually roamed to the other lane, so that really gave us the free turret for sure. So you'll see right now I'm actually going to go for an Aegis now, as I finished up my Spirit of the Ancient Golem. That gives me the tenacity and lots of health. It also helps me in the jungle as well. And now the Aegis will help us against all the magic damage that they have, which is mostly just Katarina and the ultimate from their support. So I'm going in here, and I'm able to stick to the enemy AD carry, which pretty much takes her out of the fight. Wukong now the only one left in my range. I grab him, take him down. Lee Sin gonna try and jump to a ward to escape. I throw out sapling to try and get vision and see if he's in that bush. We notice that he jumps to the wolf camp, but he actually ran the way that we expected him to, and we're able to get the shutdown. Alright, so this game is going quite well. Jungle Maokai is actually one of the easiest junglers, so if you are not really good at jungling and you have to play the jungle role, I would say pick up Jungle Maokai. So far, out of all the junglers that I've been trying to learn, Maokai has been the easiest and one of the most effective just because he has such amazing ganks, and it's so easy for you to peel for your enemy team. He has a lot of damage reduction in team fights with AoE, so a lot of different options for you. The Wukong made a mistake of kind of going in there, but we all get stuck into his ultimate, so we're taking big damage. I do take him down, so now I'm unstoppable. Katarina shuts down our AD carry. We got to be careful about that. Olaf is really low. He goes down, and I back off. I really didn't want to engage that completely like that, but everyone kind of jumped into the middle of everything, and so we pretty much just get taken out very quickly. Slimo is AFK right now. I think he DC'd or something. And so he was not in that fight. Since we didn't have Slimo, it was kind of a bad engagement for us. So right now we're just hoping that Slimo comes back, which finally he does. I guess he just lagged out or something. I'm able to pick up my Runic Bulwark, making us really strong in the next team fight engage because we're going to have all of that magic resist. So Katarina should do just a little bit less damage to everybody with her ulti. Wukong up top is able to take down our turret, but we clean him up before he's able to escape, I should say. Alright, and at this point now, we're just going to be looking for an opportunity to remove all the wards from the enemy by putting up pinks and just warding up ourselves. I don't know if we have any oracles anywhere. We don't actually have any oracles, but we do have pinks on the main areas, which is the Baron, of course. And being really strong, we're just gonna push in. We've got a Caitlyn, so all we have to do is just kind of sit back. We don't really have to tower dive or anything, and just poke down the turret, and eventually that turret will go down with the damage from Caitlyn's range. So here we are, just waiting for the next creep wave, and then Caitlyn's gonna get a few more auto attacks onto that turret. I'm going to go ahead and run in, put down my damage reduction. One good way to take down turrets is just to throw down your damage reduction, and that makes turrets way less scary as well. Misfortune ultimate comes in, but it wasn't actually too scary because it didn't hit a lot of us, and Slimo was able to get in the back there and just take everyone down. Right now, I'm actually doing a little bit of damage in the back. I'm just trying to push people away from our carries. Unfortunately, I think our Caitlyn does actually die. So I kept her alive for a little bit, but wasn't, the whole time. I don't have any mana left, so all I can do is auto attack right now. We do get the ace though with the axe throw from Olaf, and now I'm gonna try my best to take down this inhibitor. Now, one thing Maokai does not have is a lot of auto attack damage. So when you're trying to take out turrets, he's not the best at pushing, but he is so damn tanky. You notice right now I'm at 3k HP with tons of resistances as well. I've got a lot of support with all my pushbacks and my damage reduction, and really that's what it is. Maokai is basically just a support tank, and that's all he is, and he's good at it. So I'm just going to be warding up with my Ruby Sightstone. It really is awesome to have a second Ruby Sightstone on the team in addition to your actual support player, because that is so much extra vision that you can place down around the map. And sometimes vision alone can win you games. Slimo down on the bottom, trying to take down the turret. He does finish out the Lee Sin. And I'm going to be heading down that direction. I finally catch up with the team. It's going to be hard to push this down without the creep waves. And the rest of them now are there. They don't have a lot of creep clearing potential, so they all have to back off. So they're going to remove themselves. I run around the backside to see if anyone stays too long. And I place a ward over the wall just in case some Blitzcrank is trying to stand there to pull us. So that's not going to allow him to get off any surprise pulls. And I'm just going to run past the turret, get off a little bit of damage on to the Wukong. We take him down extremely low. Well, it looked like we did, but it was actually his clone. But the main thing I'm trying to do there is just push them away from the turret while Caitlyn takes that out. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and engage onto the Wukong. I want to make sure that he doesn't get a full ultimate off onto our team, which eventually he finally does get one off onto Slimo, but Slimo cleans him up before dying. He's really low. Finally does get taken down by the Katarina, unfortunately. And Katarina gets away with just barely any HP at all. Misfortune falls, and now we're going to just clean up this inhibitor, no problem. Caitlyn tried to use her ulti to clean up a kill, but they surrender anyways. The game is over. But that is Jungle Maokai for you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, learned something from that. So good luck out there on Summoner's Rift, and I'll see you around for the next one. Make sure you join the Cheese Army by subscribing up top.